Well, hello everybody, Mr. O here, and this is going to be our final part of the sci-fi landscape where we're going to use an inking brush. Now, could you use larger brushes than this? Absolutely, but I'm going to just use this smaller one for just to show you, because even though it looks like a lot of space, there really isn't. And you will see me also use these two dip pens in the ink once more. Just because we're doing space now doesn't mean we were done with the dip pens. We're just adding the brush, and I can show you. And of course I have the new inkwell that I'm going to grab out. So it's very important. That's probably going to get filled with ink at some point. So you may have to go wash your hands real quick before you actually start your lesson. If you have an inkwell like this, these inkwells are actually like makeup containers, waterproof makeup containers, and a lot cheaper. And they do just as good as a job. Now, when it comes to inking with a brush pen, it is good. Now, see, I could do this on a separate piece of paper, but it's okay that I do here, okay? And you just gotta be careful when you do ink. I will go to time lapse. As you can see, I went beyond my line. That's okay. This is basically my ink gutter, my guard, so I can grab the paper. And it's okay that I make little mistakes. If I want to smooth it out, I can, and I can make that a little bit better. You do not have to do that, so don't panic if you don't. And as I get ink on, as you can see, a lot faster brush, nice even strokes. Don't try to rush to get it done, and just be nice and even. Spread your ink out. As you can imagine, it's going to take a little longer to dry, but it doesn't take too long. Now, here's the key. If I keep saturating, which means I keep putting the ink on and on, I could have a problem with even Bristol board and all the other different types of paper starting to wrinkle. So be careful. Don't over ink your paper. And I go the same direction. Now, here's what I'm going to do just to give me a line. Even though I have a pencil line right there, I'm going to do something very special with the ink pen. And then I'm going to feather it so it looks like it's all going the same direction. This is just to help me guide so I don't make mistakes. And so when you see the time lapse, I'm going to do a lot of this right here, and you will see me go into the main picture with the brush just because, with the brush. Just because I was done with the dip pens doesn't mean I was actually done inking the land. I'm going to take advantage of the brush. I hope that makes sense. And guys, I'm not going to do too much. As I said, I will come back at the end where you can see the eraser plus the white pen, okay? So watch the time lapse and hang on to the end part of the video. Well, welcome back. Thank you for being patient. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the stars. Now, there is another way I can add stars, and that's using a toothbrush. Some of this ink isn't completely dried, so I would recommend that we wait till the ink is totally dry. Now, one question that may come up is how will I separate my stars from my meteorites? And of course, I will go back into with the ink pen and actually add texture. And that's how we're going to do things. Now, the other thing you might have noticed is I had 2 coats of black ink. Now, the black ink I'm using is Blick Waterproof India ink. Blick brand is basically student grade. Now, I have a couple Coachman and Doc Martin, Doc Martin. I'm drawing a blank on that ink. I don't have it in front of me. Actually, I do. Wait a minute. Bombay and Bombay, and there's a one that begins with a doctor. That's actually a high quality ink, and they're a little richer where you don't need 2 coats, and most likely you don't. Going back to the stars, there's another way you can ink, and that is dipping. Well, actually 2 other ways. You can, if you try to do like a toothbrush, you're going to make a mess. The other way is having a little bit of white ink, and then you can just use a dotter. I'm just using the white pen out of convenience. If you can imagine if the whole thing was black. The other thing you might have noticed was how I used the brush pen down here. And that after I did my inking, I also went in with the dip pens to create a nicer effect up there. So ultimately, you're going to have, even though we viewed this project almost as 2 parts, it's 1 picture. And you're going to have silhouettes, and you're going to want a little gray tones and stuff like that, which you can get with the ink when you use the brush. And I want you to take a look at my brush. It's completely clean. What I didn't tell you is if you get a brand new one, you might want to get it wet first and kind of and just rub it a little bit, because there might be a plastic residue substance on it, and it might take it a little bit if you go straight ink to soften it up. So just wash them. It's a good habit, but notice that I don't have it all black. I don't have ink here. Everything is clean. I want you to show you my paper towel. I know these things seem like, if you're a messy artist and you own your stuff, that's okay. But when you use other people's stuff, school supplies, you have to understand there's limited supplies. Now, I'm an art teacher. The more money I save, the better supplies I keep buying. And even if it's not in a very expensive, these brushes aren't super expensive, dip pens aren't super expensive, but you start adding all the little stuff up, and it adds up. Going back to the brush pens, as I went on my tangent, it may seem like everything will flow together, but when I get this whole picture complete, and at some point I'll have the whole picture complete, everything will blend together. And you can see how I did the energy coming out of the planets. I will actually do a little bit more of that stippling effect when it comes to shadows and stuff, just to create the illusion, and that's where I'll get my separation of space versus land. Because I wouldn't use like the dot pen to do sporadic in the black there in the land and stuff. But here, it's not that it's see-through, but when I get it inked, you'll see that it'll be creating a shadow and stuff like that. So, all right, guys, I can't forget this. And I'm going to reuse a paper. You are beautiful, but you are also, and I forgot the R, also loved. Never forget that. All right, we'll talk to you real soon, guys. I hope you enjoyed this project. It's been a long time since I've done something like this, so I hope you can get a good start. Feel free to share your pictures with Mr. O Art School at gmail.com. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.